Well, y'all, it's a hot day in Oklahoma. It's 102 degrees. I'm here at the ball fields. I've got my second Diet Dr. Pepper. I usually try to stick to just one, but this is my second one today. It is much needed on this hot day. So I've been thinking, though, I'm taking a change of pace from my bedside and wanted to share something that I'm learning about perfectionism here in my car. And it's all about list making. And I love to make lists. I make one every day. I make one when we travel. I make lists for the beginning of school. And I love to cross off things. As I was preparing for a trip we were taking a couple weeks ago, I had my list out and I was marking things off. But anything that was not marked off, I was very anxious about. And I would lie in bed thinking about those things that I had to do. But there's just certain things that you cannot pack until like the night before you leave. But it was making me really anxious. And since I'm on this big conversation with the Lord about my perfectionism, I just asked him, Lord, is this part of that? Is there something that you want to teach me here and free me from? And very quickly and clearly, I believe he spoke to my heart and just said that I use my list as a report card. And I am anxious if I don't get things checked off, because then I haven't accomplished and I'm not a good accomplisher and I failed. I mean, it goes really kind of drastic. But it was really curious to me to equate those two. But then I started thinking that Scripture has lists. And I thought about the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, right? All those things. I thought about the love is in 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, does not boast, is not jealous, is not easily angered. Those things. And then you've got the armor of God in Ephesians that is a list of other things too. And so it's like the lists aren't bad because God uses lists in His Word. It is how I use those lists. And I have used those lists, whether it be my own on a daily basis, as evaluators of my performance, value, significance, productivity. But the crazy connection is that I have used the lists in Scripture as an evaluator of my maturity or my Christian, Christianity. So it's like I take, and I've done this before, and I know I have, but it just was an interesting connection. I take like the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, those first four, and I can take God's lists and use them as the fruit of the try-hard, and so the fruit of the Spirit. And so love, am I loving? Have I been loving today? Yes, no, maybe so. Love, joy, have I been joyful today? Peace, patience, have I been patient today? Absolutely not. So then a big fail on that. But I have used God's lists as a report card as well, instead of using and seeing this list of things as a product of my relationship with Jesus. And it was like this big aha moment of how easy it is to use lists as something that I need to try hard to achieve, instead of the very thing that God does in me as I lean close to Him. There is a guy, I started thinking about a guy in Scripture in Matthew. It was a Pharisee actually that came to Jesus and he was trying to test Him. And he said, God, of all the commandments, what's the greatest? And Jesus, with such strength and power and awesomeness, just said, it's summed up in two things. One, love the Lord your God with all your heart, and two, love your neighbor as yourself. And so I came back to that and I thought, instead of making these lists about me, let's instead see them as the byproduct of this one thing. And it's to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And so as I look at this week and the boys start going back to school on Wednesday, I just think, gosh, I want to be able to do one thing and do one thing well, and that is to love the Lord my God with all my heart. And so that could mean a couple things for me. It means, getting in His Word daily. It means praying for Him, depending on Him, admitting that I can't do things on my own. But that's kind of the lesson that he gave me about list making and perfectionism. I hope it connects with you, and I hope it might free you too from being so tied in and tied down to your lists.